Okay, part two. This will be pretty short. Uh, Figure I'll just kind of keep doing this just because there's so much going on here. Um, Nothing's changed on the front pilot. I'm kind of calling that one done for now. Um, Been working on the back, so just kind of looking. You can see I got the beginning of a backhead in there. We already got a little bit more done with that on the next rev. Got some seats in there. Show you that more here in a second. Got these pumps modeled in the side, and then filled in that gap I was complaining about on the brass model. So, you can't just see right through the model. Put some rivet detail in there. Yeah, there you can see it. And I can kind of see how I'm meeting up to the floor on the bottom. It's pretty good. Got this crossbar that's there on the brass model. I did get the frame filed out where like that truck's swinging pretty free in there now. Yeah, let me just pause this for a second and I'll pull the top off here and you can see a little more. All right, well, it is starting to look a lot less like a frame from a i1 210 at this point. I think once this piece is painted black, this is going to start looking pretty factory. So, oops, that's backwards. So the motor goes right there. And yeah, and you can kind of see the backhead here. And what I've done is I put in like firebox door detail on the next rev and put a hole through it, so I'll be able to put an LED in from the back and have like the flickering fire in the firebox. And I put in a throttle and just a few gauges. I didn't like really detail the backhead, but I mean, gosh, the brass model didn't even have a backhead. I did copy these seats and put the little peg in the bottom. The Broadway model has figures in there, and you can see that's what they did. Oh boy. Oh, sorry about that. So I can take the figures out of the donor locomotive, and boy, I come up with the hardest ways to do this stuff. You can kind of see they'll sit right in there just fine. And I already tried that with the cab window on and everything. The heights look about right. So that'll work out. Now, this is the weight from the original brass engine. So what I want to do here is the shell, and you can see where I had to open it up a little bit more here in the front end because the gear tower is further forward. So I want to get that weight lined up, where it's supposed to be. I want to have to cut part of it off and then take that leftover chunk of weight and put it in here, or at least I want to try to. And I want to see how that looks for balancing the engine. I have a little, scale here I use for weighting cars, and I'm going to set it up where I put the front wheels, the front drivers on the scale, and then put the back drivers on the scale and try to get them where they're sort of even, at least close. One of the other things you can see I did here is there's this tunnel that goes through under the cab floor and comes out the back, and that lines up with the little square hole there in the back of the brass, so that'll be where the wiring passes through. Should be pretty straightforward. I'm not doing anything super crazy. I'm going to put the headlight in and the fire flicker in, and then it's just right power, left power, and motor power. So that shouldn't be too bad. Getting the power out of this, that screw right there is a screw for a power lug, and then any of the rest of these screws I could use, because that side of the frame is what continues out here. It's the right side is sort of isolated right there. Okay, and then beyond that, you can kind of see here getting the tender mocked up. I'll go ahead and put the shell on this here in a second so you can see it. But the speaker is going to fit in there. I did on the next rev raise the speaker up another little bit. And got the Rapido trucks in there. Here is the next rev. So you can see, there's the arced cutouts for the wires to come up through. That little dome there is just to give the speaker some extra space. I put some holes in there for letting the sound through. I did autograph this one. You can see the ribs I put in there just for stiffening, make it look a little bit better. I put a little air cylinder in there. I kind of copied that dimensionally off a proto model I had. Just so there's something underneath there. There was nothing underneath on the brass model. I did get the ladders completely wrong on this one, along with the coupler height. I fixed all that on this rev. Let me pause this for a second, and I'll put the tender shell on that so you can kind of at least get an idea what this will look like. Alright, so there it is, kind of up under there. You can see, those ribs sort of give a little bit of nice detail, and that, air tank hanging down there. Let's get that out of the way. Height-wise, it looks right. Just the ladders, I really messed up the length of the ladders, and but boy, I think it looks so much better with those Rapido trucks, and just being able to see just that little bit of ribbing in that air tank hanging under there, or brake cylinder, whatever it's supposed to be. Boy, I really think it makes a big difference. So pretty excited about this. I'm hoping the next rev we'll get it. And the other thing I did include in this one, I put this like little shelf on here, and that'll be a place I can put the decoder on some sticky back tape, and that space underneath it, it'll kind of go up over the brass and the tender shell. That'll work just fine. So coming along, almost done really, doing this printing and engineering of the plastic parts, and then it's just going to be throwing some paint on the plastic parts here. And did get a shipping notice from TCS today, so hopefully here in a few days we'll have electronics in place and we can be close to wiring this thing up and giving it a test run, seeing if all this is going to pay off. So we can either celebrate together or cry together. We'll see. I'm obviously taking a pretty good gamble here that all this is going to pay off, but here's hoping. All right, guys, hang around for part 3.